Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie Newton. I practice homeopathy from right here in my home all around the world, right here from West Palm Beach, Florida. And I'm in the middle of a series, I think I'm right in the middle, the third one. I'm in a series of videos talking about remedies, homeopathic remedies that you can use for the emotions that most of us are experiencing in this time of quarantine. And so today, now I'm talking about when you are afraid of germs, so fear, really, but fear regarding your health. So let me tell you what other emotions I've already discussed in this series. So the first video, hold on a second, I have to share my screen. Let me push share. In the first video, I talked about grief. So that was one of the first emotions that I experienced, is grief, and also just like fear. The grief had more to do with like what we lost, which was our freedom, but also what else do we stand to lose? How long are we going to lose these things? Stuff like that. So grief. And then the second, and you can find that video up here. I think it's linked in one of these corners. The second video that I've done is feelings of isolation. So homeopathic remedies for feelings of isolation and loneliness. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about homeopathic remedies for, wait a minute, did I already do this one? Misfortune, and what did I say I was doing? Oh, I said I was doing fear and contamination, so fear of germs, okay? All right, so fear of germs, fear of your health going downhill, fear of contamination. If you're walking around your neighborhood and like you freak when somebody's coming near you, this is the remedy that you need. Or if you're just afraid, like you're afraid you're gonna get sick, afraid somebody you love is gonna get sick, and we all sort of have that fear, but if this is the emotion that's sort of on the top of all the emotions that we're feeling at this time, then this would be the homeopathic remedies to look at. And if it's also spilling you over into a state of anxiety, that's not good, So let's look at some of these homeopathic remedies. Okay, that's interesting. The one I really wanted to talk about is, oh, it's way down there. So normally when I'm looking at my homeopathy software right now, and I've put in rubrics. So basically having to do with the emotion that I'm talking about, fear of germs and things. And then what happens is the software gives me the top remedies for these fears. In this case, one of the remedies I want to talk about is like number 15. I normally look at like the top 5, that's what I've been doing in these videos, but we're not going to do that. We're going to look at a remedy called Arsenicum. I've actually taken this one and it has really helped me. I did have some of the fear of germs actually. Yeah, I was worried because my mom and my son both have health conditions that predispose them to having, lung problems if they get sick. So I had a little bit of that, but also Arsenicum happens to help with financial fears, and I had more of that actually. It just happens to help with both. So this is really one of the best remedies that you can take at this time if you're being impacted financially, and if you're being impacted with fear of germs and fear of your health, etc. So let me talk about some of the mind symptoms. So these are features that this remedy is known to help manage. It doesn't, now I'm going to read a bunch of them, and it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be experiencing all of them for this remedy to help you. And also you don't have to be experiencing them to the extent that some of this wording, sounds like. So it's like, sometimes it'll say things like schizophrenic paranoia. Well, you might just feel a little paranoid, not schizophrenic. So, you don't necessarily have to be experiencing these things to a great extent to benefit from the remedy. So these are the things that they say. These are mind symptoms, mind features for this remedy, meaning mental and emotional features that this remedy can help with. Clinging anxious and desperate, begging for help. Now again, that's extreme. If you're like running around begging for help, you don't have to be that extreme. You might just feel like, gosh, you really need, you want help, you know. You're extremely nervous and anxious. Deep insecurities and fears, desire company, fear of being left alone, restlessness, changing place frequently, like kind of changing your location in the house and things like that. Let's see, indecisive, inclined to complain and whine to those around her, weeps and whines but speaks little, full of worries about trifles, anxiety about the future, anxiety about health, anxiety about others, anguish and restlessness, anxiety on waking from dreams, anxiety during headache, better for motion. And that's why people who need this remedy, they tend to be restless. They're like almost like running away from their anxiety, you know. Anxiety, let's see, I already said that one. Fear of death, fear of starvation, fear of financial loss and poverty, fear of diseases, fear of getting cancer. This one happens to have that. You don't have to be afraid of cancer for this remedy to help you. Fear of catching an infection. So you can see that this remedy really is like very good for this state that a lot of us are in. Fear of germs and viruses, fear of being poisoned, fear of being left alone, fear of violence, great fear with cold sweat, fear something may happen to relatives. Let's see. Lacking courage, frightened easily, desiring company, obsessive compulsive thoughts, being fastidious, like being very, I don't mean anal is the word that comes to mind, upset about disorder, like not liking disorder in your environment. I've been a little bit like that because I'm home all the time, so I'm looking around like, okay, that's a mess and that's a mess. Upset about dirt and germs, obsessed with order and tidiness, suspicious, what else? Needing reassurance from a doctor or a homeopath or whoever your, practitioner is. Exaggerating symptoms to assure attention, domineering and demanding, angry with himself and others, fault finding, irritability, alternating with despondency, irritability and restlessness, melancholy, despair of recovery, mania, wants to be held, fixed ideas, tormenting thoughts, moaning and groaning, fear of being left alone. Okay, so some of this other stuff just doesn't really pertain to what we're doing here, or what we're going through here. So yeah, this is a great remedy, and this one you can get, I think you can get this one, it's called Arsenicum album. I think you can get it at Whole Foods or like a health food store. I'm also going to look on Amazon. Yeah. Okay, here's one, Arsenicum album. I would start with a 30C. You could do a 200C, but I generally recommend only doing 200C remedies if you have a homeopath, somebody you can turn to if there's questions and stuff. But some of you may have experience with homeopathy and you can do a 200C. If this really sounds like a state that you are absolutely 100% in, I think it's okay for most people to do 200C. I wouldn't do it more than once a week and not for a very long time. 30C you could probably do every day, every few days. The way homeopathy is dosed is you just take it as needed. Don't take it more than you need, because then problems can arise. All right, so let's look at another one. What do I want to look at next? Some of these are just not available in America. So here's one, it's called syphilinum. It's a commonly recommended remedy by homeopaths, but it's, you know, if you are in another country where you can just go to your local homeopathic pharmacy and get that, that's great. What's this one? Trying to find remedies that I know people can find here in America. Okay, this is a real common one, calcarb. Calcarea carbonica. My younger son is on this one right now as his main constitutional remedy for just for chronic stuff. Okay, so this one, the mind features are rumination and worry, overworked and exhausted. Sits and thinks about little affairs that amount to nothing. Worries about all the responsibilities and duties. Apprehensive. Anxiety with palpitations. Suspicious, desire to weep, cautious, low-spirited, apathetic, depressed, melancholy, forgetful, confused, misplaces words, averse to work or exertion. Some of these, you guys, you may recognize in your own kids. I mean, they're homeschooling. Like some of these remedies that I've talked about in this series, you know, like you'll hear averse to work. In other words, they don't want to work, you know, they don't want to do their work. You might feel, I'm feeling like I don't want to work. Just, you know, that laziness of being home all the time sets in. Even though I work from home, it's just weird, I don't know, being stuck at home. Inability to apply himself, learns poorly, okay. Easily frightened or offended. Fear of being observed. There might be a little bit of paranoia with that one. So fear of being observed, meaning being watched, being noticed and watched. Fears of misery and misfortune. Fear of contagious disease and disaster. Fear excited by reports of cruelties. Nightmares and poor sleep. Imagine someone is in their room, fear of monsters. Some of this is for kids. Irritable and cries. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's good. So, you know, some of this is overwork and exhaustion, you know, apathetic, depressed, melancholy. So think of that with calcarb. I mean, in general, the theme with calcarb is somebody who like, they want to have like a shell around them, you know, they want like a protective, they want to be like behind a shell. Calcarb actually comes from the oyster shell, I think it is. And so they kind of have that feature of like being in a shell, wanting to be in a shell, sort of protecting themselves, sort of keeping everything and everyone out. So it could help. Let's do one more. So we did Arsenicum, we did calcarb, and again, this is for fear of contamination and germs, health fears. You know, carcinosin is another great one, but it's available in America if you are established with a homeopath. Most pharmacies in America won't sell it to you. It's just one of those remedies that is not like over the counter, you know. Camphora is listed here. I already talked about that one in the last video. The video about, I think it was the one about feeling isolated. Chelidonium, should we do that one? I don't know. Can't decide which other to do. Let's do Thuja. This one you should be able to find. Let's look on Amazon for this one. I'm pretty sure anybody can get it. Let me pull up Thuja real quick here. And then I'm gonna go to Amazon, show you guys what that looks like. The links are below for this, if you're watching this on YouTube. Thuja 30C. It's also available in 200, it says 200 CK. That's, oh no, that's a different remedy. But 200C and 200 CK would serve the same purpose. Okay, so they don't have 200C on here, which is fine. So here's Thuja. That's how it's spelled, Thuja, occidentalis, and that it's just, we call it Thuja, Thuja. Okay, back to the remedy. Okay, here are some of the mind features of Thuja. Introverted and private, dullness of mind, cannot concentrate, speech slow, hunting for words. I'm going to try to find some things. Hurried with ill humor, talks hastily, mistakes in writing words, confusion in the morning, some of this just doesn't pertain to the purpose of this video. Disinclined to talk, sadness, aversion to life, depression, feels isolated and alone, aversion to company, feels isolated and different from everyone, that they do not belong, avoids the sight of people, mental depression, irritability, jealous, quarrelsome, self-contempt, reproaches himself, like self-critical, thinks she is ugly or unclean, feels unlovable, emotional sensitivity, anxiety about salvation, anxiety about health, anger when contradicted, overexcited, angry, anxious, talks hastily, walks in circles, fear of getting infections, diseases and germs, fear of being incurable or death, thinks his blood is dirty or poisoned. Let's see, fear of strangers, begins to twitch at the approach of strangers, mistrustful, secretive, paranoid, fear of being discovered and their secrets revealed, hidden plans and secrets, tells lies to hide real intentions, manipulates others, indifference to the opposite sex, fear of getting a venereal disease, STD, religious fanaticism, immoral sexual behavior, that not really related, I guess. Fixed ideas and delusions. Let's see. Time passes too quickly. All right, so, you know, as you can see, there's definitely like just some depression related here. There's fear of infection and germs and disease, and feels isolated and alone. So, which I covered in the other video, and I didn't bring this one up. So that's Thuja. Okay, so we'll just do those three. Let me stop sharing the screen. All right, so as I said in the other video, if you're interested in exploring my services and becoming one of my clients, you can see the video below. Also, if you're interested in a free ebook on how to use homeopathic remedies in your home, you can find that link below as well. And that is more for acute conditions such as colds and flus and things like that. But there's a lot of information in there, and that's free. And that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the last video. Okay, bye-bye.